Hi and welcome to True Crime, a channel dedicated to the dark underworld of criminal activity carried out by gangsters, mobsters, cartel leaders, and others. Let's get started. Teacher Desiree Sunford, 30, and her husband Scott resided in Yakima, Washington. Scott Sunford, who had served in the Army, now works at a military training facility. Scott and Desiree appeared to be the ideal couple when they were married in 2003. They cherished their time together, especially when riding their motorcycles in the open air. Unfortunately, once Desiree was killed, the couple's secrets were revealed. On April 7, 2013, at 8:30 p.m., the Yakima County Sheriff's Department received a 911 call. The caller identified himself as Scott Sunford and explained that he had been out of town and had been unable to reach his wife all day. He requested that the cops check on her after claiming that the alarm had gone off. The Sunford residence was off a long, dark road when the cops got there. Scott didn't want to enter the house alone and was waiting in the driveway. Scott had a gun in his hand as well, and up until the cops showed up, he was aiming it at the home. That was rather unusual in the eyes of the cops. They entered the absolutely dark space. Before they entered the master bedroom and saw Desiree dead on the floor, there was nothing odd. She had attempted to crawl away after being shot 9 times. In addition to numerous shell casings discovered by the police around her, a bloody shoe print was also discovered. In order to find out when Desiree was murdered and where he was at the time, the police sought an interview with Scott. Scott was disarmed by the police, who also informed him that they intended to question him. Scott began by discussing his rifle and where he obtained it. Given that they had just informed him that his wife had been killed, Detective David Johnson thought that was strange. He also failed to inquire as to what transpired or how she passed away. Scott informed the police that he had just visited the Tri-Cities and attended a funeral. He claimed that he had been concerned while on the way home because he couldn't reach Desiree. Even when the alarm had tripped, he said he didn't even think there was a problem. Scott was going to be questioned by the police at the station. They thought his behavior was really strange and questioned why he hadn't entered the house. He was armed and had military experience. Scott, did you know more? Scott was talking to himself and told himself not to cry while he was alone himself in the interrogation room. It was discovered by the police that Desiree had been murdered somewhere between 10:30 p.m. and 3:30 a.m. Her phone records revealed that she last spoke to her mother at 10:30 on April 6, and the alarm went off at 3:20. Scott was questioned by the police about what he was doing. Scott claimed to be in the Tri-Cities and to have been lodging with Paige. According to him, he got to Paige's house around 12:30 a.m. and slept on the couch. When asked about his friendship with Paige, Scott said that they were simply friends. Moreover, Scott admitted to the police that he was in a 3-way relationship with Paige, Desiree, and that everyone was content with it. After concluding the interview, the police sought out Paige to hear her version of events. Paige Blades was located by the authorities. Paige, a single mother who lived in Kennewick, worked at a facility that made food. Paige was questioned by the police over her relationship with Scott. Paige claimed that they were very close friends and that things had become sexual. Paige added that although Desiree was no longer at ease with their 3-way relationship, they did in fact have one. Paige had said something to the effect of, "If something happened to you, then I would replace you," in a message to Desiree about it. Paige said that Scott did indeed arrive around 2:30 a.m., but he did not spend the night on the couch. They questioned Paige about whether Scott had given her any advice because the two situations were so similar. No, Paige replied. Paige remained one of the police's top suspects, despite the fact that they had no justification or proof to detain her. Scott needs to be interviewed again by the police. They faced him this time with the knowledge Paige had given them. Also, the police secured warrants to search Scott's home and seize a number of boots and shoes. He was let go once more since none of his shoes fit. The police discovered Paige was expecting a child as they were doing their inquiry. To determine if Paige had been at the Sunford residence when the murder occurred, they got a warrant for her phone. There was no proof, according to the police, that she was in Yakima on April 6 and 7. The police wanted to give Desiree's family explanations because they were angry and frustrated. There would be no solutions for a full year. In 2014, a caller who ultimately turned out to be Paige herself made an anonymous call to the police. Paige informed the police that she was aware of Desiree's murderer. She identified him as Marty Grismer. Up until this point, the police were unaware of this person. Paige revealed to the authorities that she and Marty were close friends and co-workers. Paige revealed to Marty that Scott had visited the week before and the two had gotten into a fight. Scott had changed and was now dating a different woman. Paige recalled Marty asking her whether she wanted him to treat the new woman the same way he treated Desiree. When Paige questioned him about what he was saying, she revealed that he had admitted to murder Desiree. The cops demanded evidence because they were astounded. Paige consented to put on a wire and meet Marty in broad daylight with the police present. The investigation dragged on for a few more weeks before the police got a call from Marty's employer. His office was one of the ones being cleaned out when they discovered a plastic bag filled with gun parts. The components were sent in for testing after the police went to collect them. The weapon used at the location of the crime and the bullet casings matched. This served as both the real and metaphorical smoking gun the police were looking for. A laptop, jewelry, and a jewelry box that had been taken from the Sunfords a few weeks prior to the murder were also discovered in Marty's workplace. The police then secured search warrants for Marty's residence and those of his father. A pair of Marty's shoes were discovered by the police and were given to the lab for analysis. It returned as the identical size they were seeking for and matched the shoe print found in the blood. Marty was taken inside to be questioned. Marty was confronted by the police with the information they had gathered. Marty acknowledged getting a gun, but said he didn't use it to murder anyone. Marty was informed by the police that they had Paige's recorded confession to them. Paige, according to Marty, was playing him. Marty displayed no emotion despite being accused of first-degree murder. According to the authorities, Marty killed Desiree at Paige's request and would have done anything for her. Although they still lacked proof, the police continued to assume that Paige and perhaps even Scott were involved in Desiree's killing. Despite without confessing, Marty took an afford plea since there was sufficient evidence to convict him. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Connie, Desiree's mother, said, "She was young and gifted and had so much going for her, so much to live for, and so much to give. When you lose a child, time does not go on. It comes to a dead halt. I didn't know such a level of pain could exist." Thank you for watching another amazing video from our true crime team. Like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to our next real-life true crime video.